Blog Talk Radio.
Raw living is a state of mind, a way of being in alignment with your body. Raw living means you put yourself and your body first. Your host, Gita Sidhu Rob, is the founder of Nosh Detox, located in the UK. They offer innovative raw food smoothies sold across Europe. You experience it in your skin, your body, and your mind. And now it's time for Living Raw Radio.
You're live, Naomi.
Live now?
You're live.
Fantastic. Thanks, Nate. Hello, everybody, and thank you for listening to Living Raw Radio. My name is Naomi Mead, and I'm a nutritionist here at Nosh Detox. I'm actually going to be standing in for your usual host, Gita Sidhu Rob, who's the founder and CEO of Nosh, and she's actually away this week, so I'm going to be standing in for her today. The subject of today's show is actually intermittent fasting and the 5-2 diet. Now, this is a new diet, really the latest diet craze that has hit the media, and it's a diet that everyone's talking about. It's become very widespread in the UK and in America now as well. And I really wanted to focus on it because it's been something that's been getting a lot of attention, and actually, unlike many diets, it's been getting a lot of positive attention and lots of scientific credentials as well. So what I wanted to do is really look at the intermittent fasting diet, which is better known as a few books now that have been published labeling it the 5-2 diet. And I wanted to look at it as a concept, consider what it is, why you might do it. I want to briefly look at some of the science behind it, the health reasons for doing it, whether it's effective as a weight loss tool. And what I'd also like to do is introduce a guest onto the program today, Elizabeth Nartey. Now, she's someone who's been doing the 5-2 diet for the last few weeks. So what's really going to be fantastic is we're going to get a first-hand 5-2 diet for the last few weeks of someone who has been doing the diet and seeing how they got on and how they're getting on from a first-hand experience. So first of all, I just want to look at the concept of intermittent fasting. So really the idea behind the diet is that you have 2 fast days per week. Now, what fast days are essentially they're a day where you eat around a quarter of your normal calorie intake. So for women, this is around 500 calories per day, and for men around 600 calories per day. Based on how much exercise you do, your height, your weight, this can be plugged into a calculation and calculated more precisely, but it generally works out, as a rough average, it works out as 500 calories for women and 600 for men. So the premise of the diet is that you pick 2 days per week, normally recommended that you pick 2 days apart from each other, so say a Monday and a Wednesday, and you eat that amount of calories on those days. And then the idea is that the rest of the days you eat your normal diet, so you eat as normal. The idea is not that you go out and you feast and you binge, but the premise really is that on those other days you don't have to be focusing, worrying about calories. You could go ahead and eat your normal diet. And for this reason, I think this is one of the reasons it's attracted so much interest, because for a lot of people that really seems something that's achievable and something they can maintain. So what's the concept behind it? Well, the concept behind intermittent fasting is nothing really new. If we look back at our history, humans have actually fasted for most of their history. I mean, we go back centuries, and you think about times where people partook in what we now call as feast or famine. So essentially the phase where people would go out and be foraging for their dinner, and they'd have a big dinner, and then they maybe wouldn't eat for days and days and days. So we have this survival mechanism. This is how we've always lived. Even in today's culture where food is freely available, and we don't have to worry about that. I mean, we don't. Luckily enough, in today's culture where we're not worrying about where our next meal's coming from. We've got that freely available. But even in our everyday life, we are fasting to an extent. I mean, I was speaking to a doctor the other day about the concept of intermittent fasting, and he rightly pointed out that actually the period when we sleep is a natural period of fasting. Perhaps now with our lifestyles and the fact that we're working late and up and about, we might not be having those prolonged periods of time anymore where we're not eating. But essentially, inbuilt in our body clock is a period of fasting. It's also an integral part of many religious cultures as well. So we think about the period of Ramadan in the Islamic calendar, and that's a monthly period of fasting where followers don't eat or drink from dawn until sunset for a period of 30 days. So the concept of fasting isn't something that's new to humans. It's something that we have adapted to and that we can all do. I think what is new is the clinical research that has come about, and some very high-profile doctors have brought about in the last few years, which really looks at the benefits of intermittent fasting for health. So really looking at it as a method of helping to improve our health, improve longevity, and as a means of weight loss as well. Data has shown that intermittent fasting, when done properly, may help not only for people to lose weight, but it might help regulate our blood glucose levels. It may help us to maintain lean body mass, so maintain our muscle mass while reducing our fat mass. There's been links with cardiovascular disease, links with helping to reduce our risk of diabetes. It's been linked with lowered risk of neurodegenerative diseases such as Alzheimer's, and even linked with some cancers as well. So there's really, really a lot of health benefits that have been advocated with intermittent fasting. So I want to really kind of have a look a little bit at the science surrounding this, and really just look at what's behind it. So firstly, with weight loss. So, I mean, you only have to go on the forums to read people's experiences and see that lots of people have had really good results with weight loss of the intermittent fasting. So why is this? What's going on? I mean, it's a lack. We're consuming a lot less calories. So is it just from that perspective? Is it simply that we're losing calories? Well, the science suggests that maybe that's not the only reason. The process of fasting, not only are you significantly reducing your calories, but you're also significantly reducing your protein intake. And it is thought that when this occurs, we're actually forcing our bodies to go from growth mode into a repair mode. And what happens when this occurs is that instead of creating new cells, the body attempts to repair the damaged ones. Now, what this does to your body cells, this period of fasting and putting these cells under into repair mode, is it actually puts them under a certain amount of stress. But actually, your body responds very well to this stress. I use the example of exercise. When you're exercising, you're actually tearing the muscle fibers in your muscles. And what this does is it stresses the muscle, and it causes the muscle to repair and recover. And when it recovers stronger. So the same concept can be taken to fasting and what it's doing in our cells. It's actually stopping cell growth and causing your body to repair. And if we look at the link with cancer, what cancer is essentially is uncontrolled cell growth. So the theory behind that is that by actually controlling that cell growth, we might actually be reducing our risk of cancer. So that's one theory behind why intermittent fasting and lowered risk of cancer has come about. Also, this repair mode that's going on may be beneficial for other ailments, aches and pains, things like rheumatoid arthritis and other inflammatory conditions. And actually reading some of the blogs of people experiencing this diet, it's something I've come across again and again where people have reported improvements in symptoms of aches and pains, arthritic pain, joint pain. So again, the evidence is still coming up and about. I mean, at the moment for intermittent fasting, a lot of the evidence is from animal studies. However, there's a lot of human studies underway, and these are becoming more commonplace, and the evidence is really pointing in a positive direction for it. One concern might be that doing intermittent fasting, you have no energy. I think this is a concern that lots of people have. If I'm only eating 500 calories a day, I'm going to have no energy. How am I going to survive? And what's quite interesting with this is actually when your body is put under fasting, and if you start doing fasting for a couple of weeks, what happens is your brain actually starts producing a substance called a neurotrophic factor. And what this does is it actually makes you feel really good. It's the same substance that is produced when you exercise, and it's also the substance that's reduced in your body artificially when you take antidepressants. And it's that real feel-good hormone. So it's something that like picks you up, gives you that real kick. It's also thought to have a protective effect against dementia and other neurodegenerative disorders. So again, another really, really potentially positive reason for fasting. Also, I just want to focus on the weight loss because really that's why a lot of people are doing it. I mean, this diet's received a lot of attention because of its health benefits, but initially most people want a weight loss result. That's why they do it. So obviously, as I've mentioned, you're simply consuming less calories in a week. So that is certainly going to help you to burn fat, but also science has found that what fasting also does is it activates a special gene in our body, which we've labeled the skinny gene. It's called the SIRT1 gene, and we've nicknamed it the skinny gene. And the theory is that when cells are restricted of energy, so when we reduce our calories, as I said, it causes certain cells to become stressed. And it's thought that this process actually activates this skinny gene, which stops these cells from dying. And what this skinny gene does is it's thought to make our metabolism more efficient so that we actually burn fat more efficiently. So even when this gene becomes activated, and it means that even when we're eating normally on our fast days, it's actually boosting our metabolism, helping us to burn fat and actually inhibiting fat storage. And it's also been shown the same gene, the SIRT gene or skinny gene, has also been shown to inhibit substances that can cause inflammation. So inflammation is the process in the body that's behind lots of diseases, modern-day conditions, so things like heart disease, cancer, premature aging, arthritis, Alzheimer's disease. So another reason why intermittent fasting could be beneficial, not only for health but for weight loss as well. And what I wanted to do when I was doing my research is just get a medical opinion as well. So I spoke to a doctor that we work with quite closely here at Nosh Detox, and I said, I'm doing some research on this diet. Can I have a medical opinion? And he was very positive about the diet. He again explained to me the concept of fasting and how it's something that's always been very integral in the human culture and something that our bodies are adapted to do. And he said actually it's something that's been ignored for decades in favor of other fatty diets, but that's something he would strongly advocate. So that was really interesting. He did point out, and I'd like to point out as well, that there are certain people who this diet may not be beneficial for. As we'll learn hopefully from speaking to our guest in a minute, you need a lot of control and you learn a lot about calories by doing the diet. So it's certainly not suitable for anyone who has suffered from an eating disorder in the past or is suffering from an eating disorder, or even is displaying those sort of tendencies. So as a nutritionist, if I ever recognize that, I would not recommend the diet for that sort of person. It's also not suitable for diabetics. It's not suitable for pregnant women, and it's not suitable for under 18s. Also, if people have any sort of medical conditions, I would always recommend them going to their doctor first just to get some advice on whether their doctor believes it would be suitable for them at that time. But for people who are in generally good health and for people who want to lose weight, the evidence is really pointing to it being quite a positive diet to do. So what I would like to do now is actually introduce our guest for today, Elizabeth. Elizabeth, are you there?
I am indeed, Naomi. How are you?
Fantastic. Good, thank you. How are you?
I am very well, thank you.
Great. So have you been listening to the introduction so far and what I've been talking about?
I have. And one of the most interesting things that you said in your introduction was comparing the diet to possibly one's lineage, because I'm of an African descent. It makes sense when you talk about not starving yourself, but cutting down calories and your body having that connection with how your body's supposed to feel almost.
Yes. So sorry, Elizabeth. I'm having trouble hearing you. Can we just cut to a break?
Yeah, that's fine.
Fantastic. Nate, can we cut to a break, please?
bloated? Is your energy levels really low? Do you find everything that you eat goes straight to fat? My name is Candice, and I am the naturopathic nutritionist at Nosh Detox. I'm here to tell you that your body needs a rest. If that sounds like you are ready to try a Nosh juice fast. A juice fast is the most natural way for your body to detox, while providing you all the life-saving minerals and vitamins that your body needs and craves. From beginners to advanced juices, we have all the options that may be available to you or suited to you. Call me on 0845 257 6674 or go to noshdetox.com and click on the right program for you. I'm right here to help you and support you. Thank you.
Nosh Detox is an award-winning company for your ultimate health improvement. Nosh Detox system works on all areas of the body, having dealt with thousands of clients whose health dramatically improved within days. For more details, visit noshdetox.com. noshdetox.com.
now back to Living Raw Radio.
Hello, welcome back to Living Raw Radio. Sorry, we just had a few technical issues. I'm Naomi Mead. I've just been talking about intermittent fasting and the 5-2 diet. And what I'm doing now is introducing our guest, Elizabeth Nartey, who's going to be talking about her personal experiences of the diet and how she's found it. Elizabeth, are you there now?
I am. Can you hear me?
Fantastic. I can hear you loud and clear.
Wonderful.
Fantastic. So I'm not sure whether our listeners heard what you were saying before, so if you could just reintroduce what you came in with earlier, if you can remember.
Okay. Yeah, sure. I was listening to your introduction to the intermittent fasting earlier on, and I found it interesting because you mentioned the connection with Africans not necessarily starving themselves, but maybe eating less calories. And
okay, yes.
I am of an African descent. I kind of think it maybe necessarily it works for me, my body much better that way, and actually it doesn't affect me. I know you mentioned a few problems with it, but it doesn't affect me in that necessarily that way.
Okay, interesting. So, what made you decide to try the diet in the first place? I mean, what were your reasons for doing it?
I wanted to get healthier, and I also wanted to do something that I could possibly do, and not stray from necessarily. So I have very short attention span.
Okay.
So I thought doing 2 days of fasting was a good thing because I don't have to remember it the next on the other 5 days. I just have to remember 2 days that all I needed to do was have 500 calories. And then I'm done with for the week, and then I can do the other days. I can do whatever I wanted without necessarily thinking of what I was putting inside my body.
Okay, so if you can sort of outline how do you approach your fast week? So I've introduced the concept as you have 2 days where you eat 500 calories per day, and then you eat normally throughout the week. So tell me how you approach your fast week. How do you space your days out? And maybe you can kind of talk us through how you would typically do it, what you would have.
Okay, so I start off by, usually over the weekend, I don't do any fasting.
Okay.
Obviously, for reasons such as going out, seeing friends, being at home, having a lot more time on your hands to do other things. So I do my fasting on a Monday because by Monday I am ready, because what I've done over the weekend is that I'm ready to fast by Monday, because usually you overeat or you eat the wrong things. You eat a lot of cakes or a lot of chocolate or you have a lot of alcohol. So you're ready on Monday to clean your body out again.
Okay.
So I start off on a Monday, first thing, and then I eat normally on a Tuesday, and I have another fast day on a Wednesday, and then my weekend starts from Thursday.
Okay,
again.
and you've been doing this diet for how long now?
Fourth week this week, so I just finished a month now, and it feels good. Your head is in a completely different place. Okay,
so just describe to me how you feel on it. What would you say are the most positive aspects of the diet?
The positive, I think, when you, I did a diet, I was on a fast yesterday, and I woke up this morning with so much energy and ready to start the day, ready to get on with life, ready to face anything. My head was in a good place. I also wake up thinking what my breakfast involves, if you understand what I'm saying. I'm not, I think of what I'm putting inside my body more.
Okay, so what you're saying is it's making you more mindful of how you eat on your non-fasting days as well?
Absolutely. I know that it comes across as if you're doing the 5-2 on the 5 days, you eat really badly, but it's not the case because of how intoxicating it is to feel good. You very rarely wake up on a non-fast day thinking I'm going to eat a lot of junk.
Okay, that's really interesting to hear, because when doing my research into doing this, one of the major possible potential concerns of this program is that fasting would cause people to think about food too much. I mean, it's been proposed by certain critics of the diet, of which actually I've not found many, but some people have suggested that it may cause people to think about food too much. So almost food becomes very obsessive and an integral part of someone's life when they're fasting and they're hungry, which may lead them to overeat on the days when they're allowed to eat freely. But you haven't found that's necessarily the case.
I don't think that's necessarily the case. I think the first week, when I said the first week, you obviously think about what you're going to have morning, lunch, and evening to make up your 500 to 600 calories that you need for the day. But as soon as you find a pattern, you don't necessarily think about it anymore. Because what I do is I know that in the morning I can have some raw vegetables. So I'd have carrots or broccoli. Broccoli really low in calories, so I can have as much. I have quite a lot of broccoli raw that I eat. And then lunch, I would have about 250 ml of soup, so about a cup of soup, 1 cup soup. That is about 120 calories with a few rice biscuits. And that works. And then for dinner, I make sure that my protein intake is high, and I have it filled with lots of vegetables as well. So as soon as I came up with that, I don't have to think about it anymore. That's it. I understand what I need to do. I don't go about thinking about food, because everything is actually less thought about food on those days than I would if I wasn't doing it.
Okay, so you've come up with a routine that you follow on your fast days, and that's enabled you to be able to be compliant with it and know that that's what you do on those days.
Absolutely, and that takes out all the guessing, that takes out all the thinking, so you don't obsess about food. You're not thinking about it, so there's no way you're going to obsess about it. And so I don't find myself obsessing about it at all.
And it's really interesting. You've sort of discuss the sort of foods you have, and I mean another concern is the attitude to the diet is that it's very much focused on calories, and I mean as a nutritionist, something I'm always trying to get across to people is that a calorie is not just a calorie. So for example, a 300 calorie Mars bar is not the same as eating a piece of fish and some vegetables, which also equal 300 calories. And I think what you've pointed out is that you compile your day of really lots of vegetables and good sources of protein. And I think education as part of the diet and approaching the diet in a sensible way is knowing what sort of foods you can have, and really getting the most amount of calories you can get, sort of value for money. If you've only got 500 calories, I guess you want to make that go as far as possible. So, I mean, if you can sort of just list a few more of the foods that you have, and you've probably done your research, having done it for a few weeks, the sort of foods that you would recommend to people that they can have to give them the best sort of nutritional benefit, but still, you know, the bulks up their meals and makes them feel like that they're eating a generous portion of something.
Well, I usually have a themed, in the evenings especially, I think I find that because my lunchtime, I set it up as soup for lunchtime, also because I've been doing it in the winter. It's colder and I need something warming. And so having the soup works for me, and I don't have to think about it. So for lunchtime, it's easy. I get any soup I want. I just check the calorie count, and I have half of that, making it 100 calories or 120, thereabouts. And then in the evening is where you have to get creative. With everything, like you were saying, I recommend balanced diet. And therefore, even if you have 500 calories, your day has your calorie intake, although it's 500, your food still has to be balanced. Therefore, you need your essential fats, you need your fiber going in, and you need your complex carbohydrates going in. So I would have things like steamed fish, so steamed salmon, a good portion of steamed salmon with steamed broccoli, with cauliflower, with spinach. You'll be surprised how much you can have when you've got your fish to make it 300 calories. You'll be surprised how big your plate would look actually, whether you're although it's only 300 calories. I do things like grated courgette with peppers, asparagus, and I have things like seeds. There's a sprinkle of pumpkin or sesame seed on it with luscious of lemon juice as well. Yeah. And that works for me. I have, so not just fish, I have things like tinned sardines, which is filled with omega-3 for you. And it's actually not that expensive either. If you are on, a restricted, if you don't have a lot of money and you're on a restricted diet as well, it doesn't cost that much to get a small tin sardine. It's about, 48p? And that's not that much when you can get all your essential fats from that and have it with a big bowl of salad. Yet again, that's only about 78 calories, I think, for a little tube of sardine. And that completely works, because then you can have a big bowl of, one of your favorite vegetables. Just make sure that you know that it's if it's a root vegetable, obviously it carries more calories than non-root vegetables. But you can go crazy and enjoy as much vegetables, put as much vegetables and as much fiber in your system as you possibly can.
Yeah, I mean, having researched the diet and having done it myself, it's been really educational from that point of view.
Absolutely.
Actually, I mean, I've not really been someone, again, who has focused on calories in the past, and I think my concern a little bit was that it might be unhealthy to become that preoccupied with calories. But actually, it's really educational and actually a really good tool to encourage people, fasting or non-fasting, to eat healthy. When you can see how many vegetables, I mean, things like broccoli and cauliflower, 100 grams of one of these vegetables, which is a good portion, is 30 calories. So it means that you can really advocate the advantages of really stacking up your plate with these veggies.
Absolutely, it teaches you to pick the right kind of food. That's what I find, that it teaches you to pick the right kind of food because if you look at 500 calories, yes, it's not enough, but actually to optimize 500 calories, to balance your meal, you have to pick a range of things, and you learn to pick a range of things, and it works.
Okay, and what about hunger? How have you coped with that? I mean, I'm sure, especially in the first few weeks, you're eating, of course, with the calories you're used to. And I talked a little bit about energy levels and how the science has shown that there's certain mechanisms that are happening in the body which may actually boost our energy levels through fasting. But, that's the science. What have you found from a personal viewpoint? How have you felt in terms of energy and tiredness and hunger whilst doing the fast?
I think with anything, you have your good days and you have your bad days. And definitely on the 5-2, I've had some really bad days and I've had some amazing days on the fast itself. I'm usually on a high after the fast because I feel so good. But on the fast itself, I know that one of the things that I experience definitely, it's not necessarily, I know other people experience nausea, dizziness, irritability, tiredness, but I have, my major thing is really, I am very irritable on my fast days. So that is definitely one of the things that one has to be aware of, and maybe apologize before you've walked in through the door to everybody around you, saying, I'm sorry, I'm going to be irritable today. And that's what I found. But definitely not necessarily tiredness, but being a little bit irritable, and also maybe not sleeping that well when you're on a fast day.
Okay, you found it's affected your sleep. Okay.
Yes, absolutely. But I'm not quite sure. I'm not a good sleeper anyway, so I'm not quite sure if that's necessarily wholly due to the fast, or that is something in my system that's not working.
Okay. Have you
properly.
has that been consistent from day one? You've been fasting for, 4 weeks now?
4 weeks. The first week I slept wonderfully.
Okay.
Even on my fast day. And then after that, I sleep. Some days I have a fantastic sleep. Other days I don't. So it's strange. Yeah.
Okay. And any other negative effects of the diet that you've experienced? Anything that you would forewarn people about, or that, any sort of negative experiences, side effects?
Well, apart from the fact that you have to, one of the important things is actually drinking a lot of water. The other positive thing I found is that I am drinking quite a lot of water, more than I usually do, because I need to drink a lot of water. If you don't want to feel so hungry, usually water is the first port of call.
Yeah,
I'm drinking quite a lot of water, so I'm rehydrating quite well, which for my body it's good for it. So the only negative side of that is that you have to go to the loo quite often.
Okay. So you've had to reestablish your routine slightly.
Absolutely. But then on the other side of it, getting up every half an hour is a good thing, because it encourages the body to, it kicks in the whole losing weight thing. So getting out off your seat every half an hour to go to the loo, walking to the loo, helps.
That's right, actually. What regular exercise does is it activates an enzyme in your body. It's called lipoprotein lipase, and what that does is it encourages the muscles, it encourages your body to take up fat and burn it, circulating fat in your blood. So it's actually a really good thing, even if you're not being able to vigorously exercise or sort of regularly, even by getting up from your desk and just moving around, walking up the stairs every half an hour can be really beneficial. So
it's not so much of a negative thing.
No, exactly. And would you, in terms of sort of tips for people embarking on the diet, is there anything that you found, having done it, in your experience, any sort of good foods to have, pick-me-ups, any sort of advice you would recommend to someone who's about to embark on the diet?
Yeah, sure. One of my big things is, although I'm not a breakfast eater, which is a bad thing, I find that about 11 I start dwindling a little bit.
Okay.
Actually, way before 11, by 10 o'clock, I start dwindling because of the whole idea that you're not eating anything.
So I guess by that time you've been fasting. I mean, what time would you normally have your dinner the night before a fast day?
I probably have it at about 8 o'clock in the evening.
Okay, so by 11 o'clock we're thinking you haven't eaten for around 14 hours. So that's quite. Yeah. So that's the point where you start to feel
you're waning. You start to think, why am I doing this? Should I be doing this? Is this the right thing for me? And then you have to say to yourself, absolutely it is. But the tip I would give there is make sure that you have crudités ready. So things like cucumber, slice of cucumber, which is really low calorie.
Yeah.
Carrots, courgettes, any slice of things, just have it right next to you. So that when you feel the need to pick something, you take one, you eat it, and you're okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Because it's a whole mental thing of chewing.
Just have something to have. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Because if your mouth is occupied, it's really you're not really going to be thinking about food necessarily. So it's drinking a lot of water.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know about you, but my experience of doing the diet, and I've hadn't spoken to others, is that, and I consider myself to have quite a good diet anyway and to eat quite well.
Absolutely.
But it's really made me mindful of why I eat and when I eat, and it's made me identify all the times when I may normally snack without thinking about it, and
Absolutely.
when I'm thirsty and if I'm bored. I mean, have you encountered sort of similar experience?
Absolutely. It's incredible how much, when you sit down to a 200-calorie lunch, and you look at it and you initially, because when you're going to have your lunch, you're so hungry, which is what I do, is that I have some snacks for breakfast, or have some carrots or whatever for breakfast, and then I have a lunch, a 200-calorie lunch. And when I sit down and I'm looking at my bowl of soup and my rice cake and maybe a bowl of steamed vegetables, I think this looks good.
Yeah.
This is filling. Why don't I eat like this all the time?
Yeah. I mean, what's funny is that we both are probably starting to sound a bit dull talking about all our love of steamed vegetables and steamed fish, but actually, you know, I know that you're a huge foodie and I'm a huge foodie, and I think this is why for many people the concept of intermittent fasting has been so revolutionary, and I know it's actually got some really famous followers. I know, for example, Hugh Fairley-Whittenstall is a huge fan of it, and it's really, I think, a good diet for foodies, because it means 5 days a week you can really enjoy the foods you like, and I'm still very much advocating you should be following a good healthy diet and should have been going out and going crazy, but it means that you can. And I mean, what I found is on days where I'm not fasting, I can eat things guilt-free, and I'm not worrying about them because I know I've got the regime of those 2 days.
Absolutely, and that's why I say a lot of people think that going on these fasts may make you consider calorie counting, but actually it isn't. It's not necessarily on the other side as well, where you overeat. It's actually that you eat guilt-free, and when you eat guilt-free, I think that actually you eat less, you eat enjoyably, so you actually listen to your body when you're full, and you think about what you are going to eat, because you think, well, I like this because I fancy it. Actually, I want to taste it. I like the look of it, and I enjoy it. Those are that's what enjoyable eating is all about. It's supposed to nourish you. And so if you're eating with your eyes and you're eating with your mind and you're eating because you feel you want to eat it, you're not going to overeat, because when you're full, you know you're full and you stop when you're full.
Yeah. No, it's really interesting. And I think a question lots of people would probably want to know is, you've been doing the diet for 4 weeks. Have you lost any weight?
Yes. I silly old me. I didn't actually weigh myself because although I want to have a healthy lifestyle, it wasn't necessarily so I can wear a bikini in the summer. It was really just so I can be a lot more healthier. So I didn't weigh myself, which I should do this month because I finished the whole month.
How do you feel, though? Do you feel like you've lost weight?
I feel lighter. I absolutely feel lighter, not just in body, but in mind as well, because I haven't got that guilt eating thing that usually I carry around with me. I don't have that at all, because I know what I'm doing and it's working. Even if I'm not losing any weight, mentally it's helping, because I know that on the 2 days I'm doing something positive. And on the 5 days, I can be happy in my old self and, enjoy my old things. So I think my clothes are feeling looser. So obviously, absolutely. Obviously, I am losing weight, but with everything, it's more of a lifestyle than a fad. For me, this is not something I'm doing as a fad. I'm doing this as a way of changing my eating habit. So I'm not expecting to lose lots of weight in a month or two.
No, you want it to be a sustainable long-term approach.
Absolutely. I want it to be gradual. I want to enjoy it. And I want it to be sustainable. So
and I mean, from a nutritional standpoint, in comparison to lots of diets which with a reduction of calories all the time, so most of these diets, you follow them and you're on a reduced calorie count every day of the week, and what that does is it slows down the metabolism, and it works. But as soon as you go back to eating your normal way, which inevitably everyone does eventually, I mean, you just can't sustain it, people put back on the weight. And I think what's really caught my interest with this diet is that the mechanisms that occur within the body and the fact that you're fasting intermittently actually supports your metabolism and keeps it and revs it up and keeps it going. I mean, I've talked briefly about the genetics involved, and it's maybe a bit dull, but it's really important, because I think to advocate something like this, I want to understand the science. And I think I mentioned before, the studies are still mainly in animals. They're very positive in studies as to sort of the health benefits of this. But
Absolutely.
But human studies are underway. But when we can't always rely purely on the science, we have to look at what's going on around us, and having listened to doctors' opinions, read forums, done my research, and I mean the evidence is really quite powerful. So hopefully we're soon going to have the studies to back it up as well.
Absolutely,
which is really exciting.
With everything, I think it's listening to your body. A doctor can help you out. Obviously, can diagnose you, but you have to go in and explain how you're feeling.
Exactly.
So
of course.
the most important thing is that if you are going to embark on anything like this, you can try it, but definitely listen to your body. I'm not saying that it would work for everybody.
No.
I am saying that it works for me.
Okay.
So it's because I listen to my body and I understand my body, and I think it's nice to know that it's working in animals, and when it's been tested, and it's supposed to be good for anti-aging.
Yeah.
But actually, I feel good on it, and therefore that's enough.
For you, absolutely.
For me, absolutely. And with everything, it's important that you, as a human being, you do your research, you weigh the positives and the negatives. And if you still want to go ahead, if you do go ahead, you listen to your body. So if you're feeling like you cannot continue, then instead of having a 500 calorie a day, you can have 800, for example, which means that you still can do it, but you're shifting it to suit your body.
And one thing that I found really interesting, I've never heard this with any other diet, any of these bad, crazy diets before, is that a lot of people have said, I can now see myself doing intermittent fasting indefinitely as a way of life.
Absolutely.
Maybe not the 5-2 regime, but say a 6-1 regime where I'm fasting sort of a day per week. I mean, as someone who's been doing the diet, can you see yourself potentially doing that?
Absolutely. I cannot. It's interesting because I think about it, and I think even if I wasn't doing it, I would definitely do. Even if it's once a month, I would definitely do that. So this hasn't just become. This is something that I'm just doing. It's something that I'm going to incorporate in my lifestyle for a long time. And I think whatever happens, if it gets to a point where I can't do it for whatever reason, I would always fall back to this.
Yeah.
Because of the way I feel on it. And I don't think I've done a few diets, and I don't think I have felt this good on any of the other diets I've done. So this works.
Yeah. Fantastic. Okay, well, thank you so much for joining us and giving your input. It's been really, really interesting. And thank you, everybody, for listening today. I hope it's been an informative show. As always, we've got nutritionists here in Nosh Detox, and we can, if you ever want to contact us about any of the content of the shows, please do log on to our website, www.noshdetox.com, and contact us, and we can help you with any questions you may have. So thank you so much for listening, and have a really lovely evening. Okay, thanks, and thank you, Elizabeth.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye.
goes straight to fat? My name is Candice, and I am the naturopathic nutritionist at Nosh Detox. I'm here to tell you that your body needs a rest. If that sounds like you are ready to try a Nosh juice fast. A juice fast is the most natural way for your body to detox, while providing you all the life-saving minerals and vitamins that your body needs and craves. From beginners to advanced juices, we have all the options that may be available to you or suited to you. Call me on 0845 257 6674 or go to noshdetox.com and click on the right program for you. I'm right here to help you and support you. Thank you.
Nosh Detox is an award-winning company for your ultimate health improvement. Nosh Detox system works on all areas of the body, having dealt with thousands of clients whose health dramatically improved within days. For more details, visit noshdetox.com. noshdetox.com.